Hey everyone, it's Types in the Pokemon TCG. I start a lot of videos with this, but it's got a lot of cards, right? However, soon there are not going to be quite as many cards because rotation is coming. If you're not familiar, every year in around March or April, rotation happens, which means the oldest year of cards, more or less, in this case, the cards with the G regulation mark are rotating. Here's a list of them with a few exceptions. For example, okay, well, we'll say these all have G regulation mark, but like Fire Energy, it's not rotating, right? It got reprinted in Mega Evolution Energy. It's not rotating, obviously. And also Boss's Orders, not rotating, got reprinted in Mega Evolution with a new regulation mark. However, a card like Professor's Research, for example, Professor's Research could be reprinted. I'm actually going to make a video with Uncommon Fossil, which is releasing on Monday, about rotation. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss that. That's the Reason Collective podcast. But yeah, anyways, it got reprinted. This is Black Bull. If we look at Black Bull, and like a random card, this has the I regulation mark, but Professor's Research does not. So we'll see if that gets reprinted. I'll talk about that maybe a little later as to why I think it might. I think there's like a chance it will. But anyways, there's a bunch of cards rotating. Not all the ones shown here are. These are all G regulation mark cards though, and a lot of these are, including some very important cards, because if you didn't know, the first set rotating is going to be Scarlet and Violet, the base set. Base sets generally have a lot of important cards, specifically staple cards like Professor's Research, Ultra Ball, Nest Ball, I guess Penny, Palpad, things like this. And today I'm going to go over 5 of them that are rotating. They're not all from this set here, but a bunch of them are. And Mega Evolution, to be honest, the base set didn't have that many staples. It had some that had Boss, that had Energy Switch, it had Lilies, it had Switch, it had Rare Candy. I guess Repel is in there, and Ultra Ball. And yeah, I guess Pokemon Center Lady, I guess, is also a staple. I mean, it doesn't really see very much play, but it's okay, I guess. But anyways, I'm going to be going over 5 cards that are rotating, and 5 cards I think would be awesome replacements for them that are really cool, that are older reprints, not reprints of cards currently in Standard. And some of these cards are kind of broken, I'm not going to lie. Not the cards that are rotating. Like the first one here, Palpad. Palpad's like good, I guess, but yeah, Palpad sees play in a lot of different lists as well, because it's a pretty versatile, pretty fun support, or not supporter, but it helps with supporters. It's a trainer, and it's an item specifically, recovering 2 supporters from your discard into your deck. Palpad is a card that is fine/cool. However, there's one card that it's a really powerful card. It's a card I'd love to see back. That card is Versus Seeker. Versus Seeker is a card that is in Expanded, not Live Expand, unfortunately. But this is an item that also recovers supporters, or when I say supporters, I mean one supporter. Specifically, it recovers a supporter into your hand, though, which is really useful. This card is amazing and Expanded. Arguably, it's too good. Wait, is that first, second, third? Okay, not 7th, but it's like in this tournament, it's played like so much. Oh well, okay. This was Reggie Draco. I think it was played on the Reggie Draco list, and maybe not the other list. I don't know. It isn't here, but anyways, it's very good and expanded because it gets the supporter back into your hand. If you're familiar with Night Stretcher, which I imagine you probably are in Standard, Night Stretcher gets a Pokemon or energy back into your hand. We see a deck like, for example, let's pull it up here. Dragapult is running an average of 2 to 3 Night Stretchers. Night Stretcher, yes, recovering cards is useful. It's certainly useful in this list, especially with Dusknoir, but on top of that, like you can see some lists with even 4 Night Stretchers, and I really enjoy that because you can use a card like Professor's Research, or, throughout the course of the game, Ultra Ball, things like that will discard cards from your hand, and, Pokemon will get knocked out and things like that. You can retreat energy to lose them as well. And Night Stretcher is going to act like almost a search card, and Versus Seeker functions very similarly. Admittedly, it is paired and expanded with the very powerful item card Battle Compressor, which is a borderline ban-worthy card, to be honest. But anyways, Battle Compressor, I will say, I'd love to see it back. Battle Compressor and also Versus Seeker. Okay, Battle Compressor is like kind of crazy with certain decks. It's very, very powerful. But Versus Seeker, pretty universal. Also encourages supporter diversity within the decks. We see this list here running how many different, I think it's 6 different one of supporters here, and then 2 that are played in multiple copies of. So you have a lot of interesting options. For example, Iono and N, they're pretty much the same. However, they are cards that allow you to do slightly different things. So having some utility is kind of cool, and there's like Marnie, Crispin, and Raihan are similar as well. And so you got some pretty fun options with Index that Versus Seeker really opens up. I really like options Index. It's not like it has crazy decision making. To be honest, Battle Compressor often does end up with a lot of decision making, searching for 2 cards, discarding them. You have, all the cards in your deck to choose from, and a lot of the times it doesn't even matter. I think the least my least favorite thing in the Pokemon TCG, or really a lot of things, is decision making that's relatively difficult and like long because of that, and also not very impactful. Like for example, if you're playing Ultra Ball to thin a card from your deck, well, deciding what cards to discard could be meaningful, but there are times when it's like not very meaningful, but it's kind of hard to decide. And then the Pokemon you get, if you don't need a specific Pokemon, but you're like, oh, maybe I need it, and you like think through different scenarios, it probably doesn't matter at all in that situation, and you'll like think about it, and it's like not so fun. So Rustica, though, I say doesn't really have that. When you play it, it's meaningful. It is very powerful. It's quite good, but obviously, there's good cards printed. And I will say, the new year, we are seeing a couple of very powerful cards printed this year already. I think I made a video on it. There's two main ones. We got Meowth EX, which I'll talk about a little bit later, and also Pokepad, which I'll also talk about a little bit later. But yeah, Pokemon is printing some more powerful cards this year than I think they were last year, based on just the handful we've seen so far. When I say this year, mostly talking about J regulation mark versus I regulation mark. So Ascended Heroes I'm more or less counting as last year, but anyways, that doesn't matter too much for this. I'm getting a little off topic, but Versus Seeker is cool. Speaking of Versus Seeker and Battle Compressor and cards kind of like that, they are kind of in standard with ace specs. There are, how many ace specs are there? There's like, is that 10? Yeah, so there's 29 in standard apparently, and a lot of these aren't very good, let's be honest. For example, like Miracle Headset, which is kind of the same thing, but you get two supporters back, but it's your ace back. I've not played I have played Miracle Headset. Tell me in the comment section if you played it and your thoughts on it. I imagine most people's thoughts are kind of similar, as in it's kind of bad for your ace spec specifically, but it's a fun little supporter. It's a nice recovery card, but you don't really need two supporters in your hand like ever. I mean, I guess two's better than one, but it's not that much better than one. Getting the one is a huge deal, but if it's like an Iono or a research, like if it's a research, the other one doesn't matter essentially at all. If it's Iono or something, it might matter a little. If it's boss and you get like boss Iono, you play the boss, it could be a big deal. But anyways, obviously it's not anywhere near as powerful as Versus Seeker because it takes up your ace spec slot. Battle Compressor also has an ace spec like it. It's got Brilliant Blender. Brilliant Blender is like not. I mean, Brilliant Blender's okay, right? You can play it in Serial Edge. It's certainly fine within Serial Edge, but it's not like it's decent. It's definitely decent, but it's not the most interesting card either. Versus Seeker, though, I'd really love to see back, and I'm not necessarily expecting Pokemon will reprint it, but I would not be completely shocked as like this being the replacement to Palpad. I would not be shocked if Palpad gets reprinted either. It's been reprinted a couple of times, and it's generally a pretty fair card, probably a bit more balanced than Versus Seeker, but I like powerful trainers and consistency cards. Then we have the next card here, which is definitely a powerful and consistent trainer, which is Nest Ball. Searching your deck for a basic Pokemon, put it onto your bench, then shuffle. We are also losing Artizone. Artizone isn't like the biggest deal in my opinion. Nest Ball, though, is a pretty big deal. Getting any basic. This is the there's three very powerful Pokemon search cards in standard, specifically item Pokemon search cards. And Nest Ball, Ultra Ball, and Buddy Buddy Poffin, all very good. Ultra Ball, as I said earlier, is reprinted, and Buddy Buddy Poffin is not rotating. Also, sorry, I am still a little sick. I'm mostly better, but yeah, Nest Ball is rotating, and I think Pokemon, I don't know if they'll reprint it. Nest Ball is a card we've seen some. I mean, it's been printed with two regulation marks. This is, I think Sun Moon was a regulation mark in Japan. Oh, I can check actually. Yeah, this was a regulation. Oh, if you didn't know, another thing, regulation marks started, believe it or not, it started with A in Japan though, not internationally. They didn't come until Sword and Shield. It's like generally 3 years for an era. So Sun and Moon had 3 years, A, B, and C, and then moved on to D was the start of Sword and Shield, and that's when we got them internationally. They, as I said, define rotation, though, again, reprints can make that a little weird. But anyways, Nest Ball getting a basic is good. Ultra Ball can get anything, but it often gets a bit more specific search. And also, there is the new item Pokepad, which is coming, I believe, in Ascended Heroes. It's coming out in the 100 decks in Japan, which are making up a good chunk of Ascended Heroes. But anyways, Pokepad gets any Pokemon into your hand from your deck that doesn't have a rule box. Of course, rule box Pokemon are going to be EXs. Rule boxes are EXs in standard. It's different in like expanded, but in standard, theoretically could change when like later on. But right now, the rule box Pokemon and the EXs are the exact same set of Pokemon in standard. And so Pokepad not being able to search those means it's like honestly kind of like Buddy Buddy Poffin in that sense. Obviously gets more Pokemon than Buddy Buddy Poffin. I believe Buddy Buddy Poffin, at least in standard, only gets non-rule box Pokemon. Obviously gets 2 Pokemon there. It gets them into your Pokeball gets it into your hand, but anyway, Poffin puts it in play. Nestball also puts it into play. I personally don't love it putting into play though, because this means you can't use on-play abilities um, of something like, say, Hawlucha. Hawlucha is also rotating, but there's like Chimpao in standard from, I think, Surging Sparks or something like that. Is Chimpao from Surging Sparks? Um, where is it? Yeah, which on play discards a Stadium from play, which is like an okay card, but if you're playing it in a deck and you're playing, Nest Ball, it doesn't get it. I mean, it could get it, but it doesn't do anything. So Chimpao is like a lot weaker for that reason, and I think it could be a fun card. But the card that I'd love to see as a replacement for, I can't spell, Nest Ball is Quick Ball. Quick Ball is one of my all-time favorite cards. Oh, I've recently made a video talking about the ball cards in the Pokemon TCG. Yeah, not this Quick Ball, but the other one, the most recent / the errata one, which is an item. You discard another card from your hand, you search for a basic, reel it, put into your hand. Um, Quick Ball was better than Nest Ball by a little bit because, well, it does require you to discard a card. Discarding a card can be good. You look at Ultra Ball, discarding 2 is definitely bad. Most of the time, you'd rather not discard any cards than discard 2 cards, but discarding 1 is, I don't know if it's better than discarding none. It kind of depends, but a lot of the times it's just fine for thinning. It's like kind of useful for that. And there are times we want to discard stuff in like Gardevoir EX or something else. I'm trying to think of the top decks. I mean, theoretically, with synergies with, as I mentioned earlier, something like Night Stretcher, but that's a little situational. I mean, Night Stretcher gets it back into your hand, so then are you actually getting anywhere? I don't know. But discarding 1 card adds some interesting decisions, which can be meaningful and it can be fun. And it gets a card into your hand as well, which is nice. You can also use this to thin a Pokemon from your deck, which is a nice little option there. It's a card that just does a bit more than Nest Ball and is a bit more interesting and dynamic. So I do like Quick Ball a lot. As I said, it's one of my favorite ball search cards and just cards ever. As I said, I did recently make a video ranking the ball search cards or the ball cards based on how much I enjoy them or think they're like well designed, I suppose. But obviously, it's pretty subjective there. But I'm not super confident we'll get another card like this because we do have Pokepad. Pokepad plus by Poffin plus Ultra Ball, it feels like it could be enough, certainly. But I certainly would not mind another one of these either. I feel like consistency is important. I will say Level Ball, also a cool card. I would be pretty surprised if that one came back. Search for a Pokemon 90 HP or less. We've seen that one recently-ish. I'm trying to think of any others I could see realistically coming back. I mean, it could be something more niche, like a type-specific one. We've seen not a ball card in a name, but you have let's say Fighting Gong, definitely a fun little card there, and we could see things like that. I'm fine with them, but I really do like I like Quick Ball. It's a really cool card, and I'd love to see this one back here. Again, I'm less confident on that. Then we have Squawkabilly EX, though. This is a card that actually works with Nest Ball because, as I said, you can't use on-play abilities from hand previously because, we always have a handful of powerful support Pokemon that are generally 2-prize basics with some HP number kind of around this, low for the 2-prize basic, and Squawkabilly EX certainly fits that mold very well, which is kind of why Pheasant EX is a bit of an outlier in that regard. Squawkabilly EX not as strong as Pheasant EX, but it's still a pretty good card here, right? Discarding your hand, drawing 6 on turn 1. Then you have like an attack, which could be useful, I guess. But you got a very nice ability here. And this is not an on-play ability. It's an ability that is once per game. You can only use one Squawkabilly EX's Squawk and Seize ability per game, as far as I'm aware. Actually, tell me in the comment section if there's a way to use this multiple times per game. I'd really be interested in knowing that. It's during your first turn, so if you take an extra turn, then you it's not your first turn, right? So that wouldn't work. Is there some way to like remove the effect? I don't think so. So, anyways, it's definitely pretty interesting. That's a once per game thing, but obviously it is something that if you miss turn 1, then it's like it's too bad, right? You're not doing anything with it. So Squawkabilly EX can be a little swingy in that regard, but overall, I do think Squawkabilly EX is a cool card, but it is rotating, right? And as a powerful explosive draw card, we don't really have anything like that. We got Kangaskhan EX, I guess, is the next best thing. Yeah, that's like not very close though. Those are two pretty different cards. So there have been a handful of cards like this. I will say, that there have been cards that sit like this that are on playabilities. There's stuff like Crobat V, Shaman EX, and Dedenne EX. This is my proposed reprint. Also, I did make a poll, or not a poll, like a community post on my channel about what cards people were interested in. Someone did say Dedenne GX. Sorry, I don't remember who it was. I don't have it pulled up right now. But yeah, Dedenne GX is a card that I also really like. This is a really fun card, letting you discard your hand to draw 6 when you play it. Essentially the same as Squawkbilly EX, except one. Well, okay, you cannot use one of the Dedenne chains like Squawkbilly EX per turn. However, you can use Dedenne GX on other turns. This card is powerful, maybe again a little broken, but I do like these really powerful support cards. And then it is played from hand, so you need to use this with a card like Ultra Ball or Quick Ball, as I mentioned earlier. Detona GX was in standard with a Quick Ball. This is not standard, by the way. This is Detona GX with Quick Ball and expanded, but they work together in standard some, and generally it was searchable. I guess there was Cherish Ball as well, which is like Mega Signal, but Mega Signal is like a lot weaker because a if Mega Signal is like Cherish Ball needs to search for all EXs essentially, which would be a lot better. I would not mind a card like that either. Though I do like Pokepad more, improving single prizes a bit. But anyways, the GX is a really powerful card here for a lot of draw. I like it. I think it works well with Nest Ball rotating. That being said, I think we do know which card we're going to get reprinted, which I've talked about before and I mentioned already, which is Tapu Lele GX / Luminion V / the new card, which is wait, where is it? Meowth. I can't click. Meowth EX with Trump card catch. There's some like weird stuff with the ability about not being able to use multiple abilities called with Trump card in their name. Not really sure what the deal with that is. I'll get to that when more stuff is revealed. I suppose it could have been revealed since recording this and releasing this, but it allows you to search your deck for a supporter on play. The same thing as Luminion V and Tapu Lele GX with the same HP. It is on play from hand, so not usable with Nest Ball. Part of me think why I'm thinking that Nest Ball won't be reprinted, and maybe we'll get another way to search this out. Meowth EX searchable, being searchable off of item search turns your item search into supporter search as well, which is cool. I've talked about Meowth EX a bunch in the past. Long story short, obviously getting any supporter is useful, but on top of that, I can also get Carmen turn 1, which is useful in the role that Squawkbilly EX can do turn 1 going first. You can draw cards with Meowth EX, 1 less, and also burning a supporter, but it's still quite good, right? Not searchable for Nest Ball as well. That's another thing that makes it worse. Maybe. Nest Ball's, again, rotating, but Meowth EX is definitely a card that I think is cool, but I would prefer something like the GX with a bit more explosive draw, but I do like Meowth GX a lot as well. I'm really interested in hearing people's thoughts on this card, especially once they start playing with it, because I imagine a lot of people playing right now haven't played Luminion V. Luminion V was that the last year of yeah, that was the no, yeah, that was the last year of Sword and Shield era, so it rotated a year ago. So I'm definitely interested in hearing people's thoughts on Meowth EX. But this card is like super good, and I'm super excited for it. But as I said, I'd slightly prefer a draw card on play, but I am excited for this card as well. Then we have Iono here. Iono is also rotating, presumably not getting reprinted. I think, Iono and Research kind of share similarities, being these true staple draw supporters of the Scarlet and Violet era. Iono is, a very iconic Scarlet and Violet character, and obviously, we're moving away from that. So I don't expect it to be reprinted. Iono is a card that is cool, shuffling each player's hand onto the bottom of their deck. Then they draw prizes based on the amount of prize cards they have left. This is very similar to the supporter but it's also similar to the supporter Marnie, which shuffles your hands, puts them on the bottom of your decks. Then you, the person who played this, draws 5. Your opponent draws 4. Marnie is a much safer, simpler supporter. Judge, is Judge rotating? I think Judge is rotating as well. Yeah, Judge is rotating. Oh yeah, got reprinted in Dust and Rivals, but not with a new regulation mark. So Judge rotating is like I honestly like don't really care about Judge. This is a card I don't really see. You can tell me in the comment section if you see this card. Like I'm aware it's out there. I see it like I guess from time to time. I mean, it's not played that much. It just looks like it's played a ton, but this is over a long period of time here. So Judge rotating plus Iono rotating means that Marnie could maybe be reprinted. Obviously, Marnie is an iconic Sword and Shield era character, so that doesn't make as much sense theming wise. But a card very similar to this would make sense. I don't think hand disruption is very good. I can't think of any good hand disruption cards. This isn't me doing a bit. This isn't me doing a bit. I actually can't think of any. Um, Specifically hand disruption tied with draw. There is unfair stamp. Unfair stamp is one, but that's like an ace back. It's a good card. Unfair stamp is powerful. Obviously allowing you to do heavy disruption alongside good draw. But it's situational, right? So yeah, I don't think there's anything that's like draw and disruption that's particularly good. There's like what's it? Harlequin? Yeah, Harlequin. This card's bad though. It's like a coin flip card. It's bad. There's some other ones like that as well. They're very bad. So Marnie is a card I love to see back. It is better than Judge to like, unless you draw another card. Also puts him on the bottom. I do like putting him on the bottom. One is less shuffling, which is kind of good. Less like for in-person play, less like cutting and I mean, I guess you could cut the hands, but that doesn't really matter presumably. So yeah, anyways, it's like a little better. It's like relatively easy to do. I mean, it's like pretty similar, but also you can't redraw the same cards you just saw, which I think makes it more consistent in terms of what it's gonna do. Maybe this is just me. I do like it a bunch more than shuffling into the deck. I do like these kinds of effects. There can be interesting synergies with them. They are somewhat situational, but they are pretty cool in my opinion. But overall, just a good draw card here. I do think Marnie would be really nice to have back in the TCG. Also, looking at the draw supporters in the game, we are losing research. Presumably, we are also losing Arvin. That's not a draw supporter, it's a setup supporter. We are also losing, as I said, Iono. So that leaves us with Lily's Determination. Lily's Determination is powerful. I think that might be the replacement for Research. I've heard people say that, but I mean, Research is kind of weird, right? It's kind of a card that's very much intended to be reprinted. It very much feels that way, along with Boss and Boss has been reprinted as well because of the naming scheme there. But that's why I think it'll be reprinted. But anyways, Marnie I think would fit nicely in. Powerful draw spoilers are really important to the game. I think draw spoilers are the backbone of the Pokemon TCG because they are a card that consistently, if you jam your deck full of a bunch of them, you'll be playing them every turn, getting solid, consistent draws. Not necessarily crazy powerful plays, but just decent plays. And yeah, just playing setup supporters and having them good ones you can actually run is good. And if not, Liz is going to dominate. And Liz is already very good. I don't have an issue with Lilies, but I do want to see other options as well. Moving on to the last card, though, that I think I want to see a different version of. That's Professor Terra's Scenario, I guess, / Penny as well. Penny's also rotating. Penny, of course, is like the same thing, but it's only basics, but it can be Rulox Pokemon. Or, wait, what? No. What am I saying? I mean, it can be. Basics, but also you keep the cards. You put a basic from in play into your hand and return the other cards as well. Turos, wait, let me just double check. Yeah, that is rotating. And then versus Terra's Scenario, you put a Pokemon from play into your hand, and then you discard the attached card. So Terra's Scenario is and Penny, they can be used to, they're mostly used to heal, right? You see them played in various different decks. They can be used for healing or switching. They're not really used for reuse of abilities, especially, as I said, we don't really have that many on-play abilities. With basics and standard, we have some with like evolutions with like Knocked Owl, and Terras can be played with Knocked Owl, and it's fun. I like Terras with Knocked Owl. However, you know where I'm going with this. This card, very powerful, would need to get errata, and that's Scoop Up Net, right? Scoop Up Net is awesome. Scoop Up Net, also, like, there's Scoop Up Cyclone. Scoop Up Cyclone, a really fun card. I love this card because it's like Scoop Up Net. It's an ace back that it's tarot, but you keep the cards. And you also, it's an item, right? But it is an ace spec. Scoop Up Net is an item. It is banned and expanded, which I'll talk about in just a second. But you put one of your Pokemon that isn't a V or GX into your hand, and you discard the attached cards. It's an item. It's like Terra's, but it's not a rule box. But it's not actually non-rule box. When it came out, it was essentially non-rule box, but then well, in expanded, it's not, right? It's not the same as non-rule box. You have EXs and EXs, the capital in the lowercase. It got banned due to the lowercase one, specifically Iron Valiant EX, but it had a lot of problematic interactions with Shaman EX, which was banned before. This was banned, so it's not the only reason, but that was like an issue. I would actually kind of like to see Shaman unbanned, but maybe I'm just being silly for that. But anyway, Scoop Net lets you reuse abilities that you're not really supposed to, that like weren't super intended, so it's kind of problematic. Should be, believe it or not, it should be reprinted or errata to say that it's non-rule box. That's not a crazy errata at all. It's not like errata and quick ball to something completely different, which they did. So yeah, I'd love to see this card errata and reprinted. It would be powerful, but it allows you to do some really cool things, reusing abilities like Comfy, which obviously non-standard, or Regigiga, sure, you can reuse that, I guess. But anyways, it acts as a switch card, but it acts better as a switch card. Supporter switch cards are generally not super good. They're useful against control, and things like that, where your opponent's really slowing the game down, locking you down. We can afford to use a supporter for a switch, but even then, it's like it's okay. And then you also can use this as a healing card, but it's a weaker as a healing card. And healing is fine, but I mean, support for single prices is cool as well. And then it can also be used to reuse abilities, which is really fun. Reusing abilities is like one of the coolest things in the Pokemon TCG. It's one of my favorite things. I know a lot of people love to do it, and it's a really cool dynamic card. In case you can't tell, I like powerful dynamic trainers, and this is probably the definition of that. But tell me down below in the comment section if you think any of these should be reprinted, shouldn't be reprinted, if we should just let these cards go, and also any reprints of other cards if you think they should be directly reprinted, like I should just straight up be reprinted. I'd really be interested in hearing your thoughts down below in the comment section. But I hope you enjoyed. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell, all that good stuff. And as always, I'm excited to see you in the next video.